Gentleman from California.
Madam Speaker, I'm pleased to yield 4 minutes to the gentleman from Ohio, Mr. Kucinich.
Gentleman from Ohio is recognized for 4 minutes.
I thank the gentleman. I support Israel's security and its right to exist in peace without fear of rocket attacks from Hamas, and I abhor the violence which has been visited upon the people of Israel who are subject to such attacks. However, I would submit that the resolution which this Congress will vote on is incomplete, that it doesn't sufficiently take notice of the Arms Export Control Act, which the United States is governed by in terms of its transmittal of arms to Israel, nor does it take notice of the humanitarian conditions sufficiently, nor establish a true path towards peace. And for that reason, I will oppose this resolution. Israel is an established democracy and a firm U.S. ally. It's also signed agreements governing the use of U.S. military assistance. The Arms Export Control Act of 1976, which governs shipments of weapons from the United States to foreign nations, requires that each nation receiving a shipment of arms from the United States must certify that the weapons are used solely for defensive purposes, not increase the escalation of conflict, nor prejudice the development of peace agreements. And I think in each case, the Israeli use of arms given by the U.S. has failed that test. Israel has had Gaza under a punishing blockade. A blockade is in itself an act of war, at which time Israel has had complete control of access to Gaza. The Israeli government even made a truce with Hamas in bad faith, because at the same time it was making the truce, it was preparing to attack Gaza to pursue its policy of regime change, an all-out attack on Gaza to oust Hamas without any regard to the law or to the consequences to the civilian population of Gaza. The people of Gaza have no army, no navy, no air force. Israel, using F-16 jets and Apache helicopters acquired from the United States, is engaged in a military offensive inside Gaza, escalating the conflict in Gaza and prejudicing the development of peace agreements, contrary to the letter of the stated policy and purposes of U.S. military assistance to Israel. Now, we know from news reports that the United Nations gave Israel, the Israeli army, the coordinates of UN schools, and that schools have been hit by Israeli tank fire, killing dozens. The UN put flags on emergency vehicles and coordinated the movement with the Israeli military, and those vehicles came under attack, killing at least one emergency worker. The Israeli army evacuated 100 Palestinians to a house and then bombed the house, killing 30 people. They don't have bomb shelters in Gaza. Emergency workers have been blocked by the Israeli army from reaching hundreds of injured persons. Today's Washington Post headline documents that. We all want peace, but we're not going to get peace until we recognize that there are two parties to this dispute, and that we have to also review Israel's conduct as well. That path to peace has to begin with stopping the war, having a ceasefire, constructing a truce, ending the blockade, getting humanitarian assistance to all the people, rebuilding the infrastructure of the Palestinians, rebuilding their economic possibilities, bringing Hamas and Israel together for talks, using that as a basis to a path for peace in the Middle East. This resolution is therefore incomplete, and I will oppose it, but I urge this Congress to take these concerns up again next week so that we can address the humanitarian issues, and by doing so, open up the possibility of this Congress playing a more constructive role in helping to achieve peace in the region by reaching out to all the parties, notwithstanding the devastating conflict that has been visited on both sides. Thank you.
Gentleman's time has expired.
If this were a dictatorship, it'd be a heck of a lot easier. Just so long as I'm the dictator.